What if you had an AI assistant that automatically chose the best AI model based on the question that the user is asking? So for instance, if you're asking something related to coding, it would automatically select Claude Sonnet 4, which is the best AI model for coding. If you're asking it anything related to news or current events, it would use something like Perplexity. Anything related to general knowledge, it would use something like GPT-4o Mini and many more models based on the questions. That's exactly what I built here using Lovable as a front end and then n8n AI Agent as a backend that has the ability to automatically route and choose different AI models based on the question that's coming in from our front end here. This is a complete no-code solution, and I'm going to show you step by step how to build both the front end using Lovable and the backend using n8n. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video, because not only will you learn how to build these really cool SaaS apps, but I'll also talk about how you can monetize these. All right, let's jump right into the video. All right, so I'm going to start with a quick demo so that way you can see exactly how this thing operates, and then we're going to go ahead and build this thing step by step. So I'm going to start with the front end with Lovable. I've already built this. As you can see, it just says talk to your AI assistant. This is just a normal landing page, and in the bottom I've just said powered by n8n. So when you click on start chatting, this will just basically open up a new conversation. When you click on new chat, as you can see, I have the ability to type my message here, and everything else kind of looks similar to ChatGPT. And I want to talk about how you can create the designs a little different. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the n8n AI agent workflow, and then we're going to go ahead and build this thing step by step. So let me go ahead and just bring in the workflow quickly here. So I'm going to go to my community here, go up to deep dive topics, and in the vibe coding, in the bottom right here, I'm just going to download this. All right, so let me just bring this over, import from file. For those of you who are new to n8n, you can create a free account, so that way you can use this and start building right away. So once we bring in this workflow, all I'm going to do is click on execute workflow. So now this webhook is listening, and you will see now when I type a message here, this will automatically choose, the AI agent will automatically choose the different AI models that it has access to. So let's go ahead and type something general, and then we're going to go ahead and test something else. Let's go ahead and actually start with news and current events, right? So I'm just going to say, what are the tariffs on China from US, right? That's a very hot topic, I guess, on the politics side. So as soon as I press enter, you'll see on the left-hand side, there you go. Now this gets processed. So the webhook is there. You go. Now you can see this is using Perplexity because this is something related to current events. And there you go. Now it says workflows executed successfully. Respond to webhook, meaning that all of this information came and sent it back to the front end and our n8n. And as you can see right here, it says as of mid 2025, the average US tariffs on imports on China are about 51.1%, blah, 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 whatever, right? That's something related to news. And if I were to use like a ChatGPT or GPT-4o or 5, it won't be able to respond to this because this has something related to news. So now let's go ahead and actually ask it something related to code, and you'll see that it will automatically select Claude Sonnet 4. So the way to do that, I'm actually just going to use this edit with Lovable. I'm just going to grab a piece of code from this exact app that I built. So I'm just going to go to the top right there. Okay. All right. So let me just grab this. I'm going to copy it, go back here. I'm going to paste it. I'm just going to say, what is the error on this code? And I'm just going to deliberately kind of remove like this part right here, let's say, right? There you go. So this should throw, I mean, if I were to run this, obviously because I removed that part, it would throw an error. So I'm just going to go ahead and send this. Before I do that, actually I got to execute. If I click on send now you'll see this should use Claude Sonnet 4. There you go. Perfect, right? The model selector automatically selected Claude Sonnet 4 because this had something to do with code, and therefore it knows exactly which model to use. And as you can see right here, the error on your code is the last line return statement. This, right? Instead of that, it's supposed to be this, and that's exactly what it did. It actually solved that problem. It knew automatically that that part was missing, and therefore it showed me the solution there, right? All right, so let's go ahead and test this one more time related to general topic, and this time it should use GPT-4o Mini. So I'm going to click on execute. I'm just going to say something like, how do I bake a chocolate cake in 5 minutes, right? So I'm going to press enter, and now you'll see that this should automatically use GPT-4o Mini. Perfect. As you can see right here, that's what it's using. And now it's going to send that information back to me. Baking a full chocolate cake in 5 minutes is impossible. Traditionally, blah, blah, whatever, right? So you saw 3 different messages and it used 3 different AI models. We can test the other ones too. I just used Gemini 2.5 Flash for like reasoning, but you can add multiple models here. So as you can see, this is super powerful. I mean, it's like I said, ChatGPT essentially on steroids. So let's go ahead and now build this thing out step by step. So I'm going to go ahead and actually get rid of this completely so we can start from scratch. So first things first, let's go ahead and actually build out the front end here. So I'm just going to use Lovable. Same thing, Lovable gives you free credits. So go ahead and sign up for that using the account below. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to Lovable.dev. There you go. So that way we can start fresh here. All right, so as far as the first prompt, obviously you want to use a ChatGPT or a Claude to be able to come up with, especially if you're using the free version, because they give you 5 messages a day. So, and 5 messages means that you go back and forth 5 times, and then after what, your free message is expired, and then it's going to ask you to upgrade. Again, you don't have to use Lovable. This is not a sponsored video or anything like that, but I've just used Lovable before, and I will also create more videos on other vibe coding apps as well. But you know, you can use Lovable or Cursor or something like that. So the first prompt, because I already created this, I'm just gonna go ahead and copy this, and then you can use something similar, or you don't have to. You can just literally just type in there. So I'm just gonna copy this from the community right here. Because this is like a very comprehensive prompt that I already spent a lot of time doing, so it just makes sense to do that. So if I paste this, essentially what this is doing, so let me go ahead and give you a quick overview here. So I'm just saying create a modern, elegant web app with a clean and a warm UI inspired by Coach Hello. This was just something that I created before because I like their user interface. But it says Coach Hello and ChatGPT. The app sends each user message to n8n via a post.json webhook, waits for the response, and renders the reply in a chat interface, right? No extra coding should be needed after generation. So here's where we need to make sure that we are inputting our n8n webhook right here. So on the third point right here, I'm mentioning that send all user input to this webhook and wait for the response before displaying results. So what I'm doing, I'm just going to insert my webhook here. So the way to do that, now I'm going to go ahead and switch to my n8n, and I'm going to add a webhook trigger because that's what we need to do. Because when you're interacting with a front end, webhook is the way to communicate. So I'm just going to click the trigger would be on webhook. And this is where obviously if you're using this in production, you would switch to production, but I'm just going to use test URL. And then at the bottom, I'm going to change this to post. And then also the path, I'm just going to use something like chat, right? So that way it's a lot easier. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and copy the URL right here. We're going to leave the respond to immediately, and we're going to change that later on. I just want to test to make sure that the information is being sent from the front end, right? So let's go ahead and copy that. I copied it, and now I'm going to go back to Lovable, and I'm literally going to paste this. By the way, like I said, if you're not part of the community, that's totally fine. Just use ChatGPT. Say, hey, I want to build a ChatGPT-like interface. Please come up with a prompt for me for Lovable, and it will go ahead and give you all this prompt, and we can always go back and forth. So I'm going to press enter here. So now what this is going to do is this is going to go ahead and build this thing out for us. There you go. So now it's going to go ahead and spin up everything, and this is the prompt that we just saw. So now it's going to think and go through the different steps, but you can see this is a pretty comprehensive prompt, and yours doesn't have to be like this. The only important thing is, as you saw, you want to make sure that you're providing that n8n webhook, and tell it to make sure that all of the communication occurs back and forth through that webhook, right? So let's go ahead and let this thing build. All right, perfect. So after a couple of minutes, as you can see right here, it took a couple of minutes because this prompt was very comprehensive. So as you can see right here, there's a very long prompt, and then I went ahead and created this. It said that I created a beautiful n8n, your elegant n8n powerful chat app is ready with the beautiful designs, blah, 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 right? So it was just like a one response, as you can see right here, right after the prompt. It took a good couple of minutes, and then it created this nice little user interface. As you can see, it has that nice little warm UI user interface with a bunch of buttons here. So let's go ahead and click on start chatting. So as soon as I click on start chatting, there you go. It's going to open up this chat window, and it says ready to chat with a place here that says type your message. So let's go ahead. Let me minimize this so that way we can see the n8n as well. All right, so now let me minimize this a little more. So this is our n8n webhook here. So let's go ahead and make sure that the information from the front end is being sent to the back end with n8n webhook here. So I'm going to go ahead inside webhook. There you go. That's good to go. So let me just execute the workflow here. Now it says waiting for your call to test the URL. So let's go ahead and just say hello and see if this is sending it over. Press enter. And there you go. Perfect. It looks like that information came through, right? So if I go to the webhook right here, let me actually maximize this. And if I click on here, there you go. So now you can see all of this information is coming in from the front end via the webhook. And as you can see, the actual input of the body parameter here, it's hello right here, and it's also sending it via content. But that's fine. That's not important as long as it's sending that information via that post request. So now let's go ahead and pin this so that way we can work with this. So I'm going to click on pin here, and now we're going to build our n8n backend completely, so that way we can go ahead and then work with our front end via Lovable, because it looks like Lovable is sending that information at least from the front end to back end. So now let's go ahead and build our AI agent here. All right, so now we need to be able to categorize this information that's coming in from the front end into some kind of a request type, right? Because we need to make sure we understand, all right, the request that's coming in from that front end that the user is typing, what kind of message is this? And in order to do that, I'm just going to add a basic LLM chain. So, because I don't need to add an AI agent. I mean, you could, but you don't have to. Basic LLM chain is the better option to go, because this is a simple message that we're going to put in for the prompt there. So I'm just going to look for basic LLM chain. There you go. So I'm going to click on this one. So now this got added to this, and we need to give this some kind of a model. So I'm just going to use OpenAI chat model. Yeah, GPT-4.5 Mini is fine. I mean, you could use GPT-5 Mini or whatever you choose. Inside the basic LLM chain, I'm also going to have this require a specific output format, because we need to be able to add this an output parser, so that way we can send the output of this, or control the output of this particular basic LLM chain there. So I'm just going to change the name here to request type. Okay. And then for the connected, instead of chat trigger, I'm just going to define below. And then we're going to go ahead in the bottom and drag this input right here, because this is the message that the user is sending. There you go. So you can see the JSON.body.input. Perfect. So now the next step is we need to add our output parser, right? So I'm going to go ahead inside my output parser here, and we're going to do a structured output parser. All right. So I'm going to get rid of this. And this is where you can use a ChatGPT again or a Claude here to define that. But let me go ahead actually before the output parser, let's go ahead and add the system prompt, so that we know we tell this what to do, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on chat message. I'm going to leave this to the system prompt, right? And then for the message, I'm going to switch to expression here, so I can maximize this. And I'm just going to, instead of typing, I'm just going to go ahead and use this in the bottom, because I've already put this here. And you can pause this and take a look at this, or you can type something of your own. Like I said, it's very simple. Let me just add this here, and then I can explain what's going on. So I'm saying classify the incoming request into one of the following categories based on its primary intent. Possible output, choose only one. General, for general questions or conversation. Reasoning, requests that require step-by-step logical thinking. Coding, requests related to writing, debugging, or anything related to code. And then search, requests that explicitly require some kind of information that's from the news or up-to-date information, right? And then the output format, I'm just saying return only one category in lowercase with no additional text, because we want to control the output of this particular node right here, right? So now on top of that, we're going to go ahead and add a structured output parser. So here, same thing. I'm just going to copy this and paste it, and you can pause the video and just take a screenshot of this as well if you want. There you go. So we're doing type, object, properties, request type, and we just need one request type, and it's going to be a string. So now let's go ahead and actually test this, because we've already pinned the data here. So if I click on execute step, now there you go. Now it should actually use that, and perfect. So now let's go ahead and add our AI agent, because we now need to be able to take this request type that's coming in and also the input from the user and process it. So I'm going to click on the add here, or the plus button. I'm just going to do AI agent. There you go. So I'm going to click on that. So same thing, instead of connected chat trigger, we're going to define it below here. And we're going to grab this. Again, this is going to be the prompt that the user is sending. So we're going to grab that from our webhook here. I'm just going to same thing, use my input here. There you go. Perfect. For the system message for this one, I'm just limiting this to 500 character. I mean, you don't have to do this, but this is just to make the UI look cleaner. So I'm just going to say, so I just said, make sure your response is limited 500 characters long, right? limited to 500 characters only. So that way we can control the output, and this is not something like sending like 1,000-word response there, right? So, but feel free to not add that if you want. If you want to test that with something else, go ahead and do that. All right. So, a very important step here as far as the chat model here. I'm going to click on the plus button. Now you will see that with the recent update with n8n, now you have the ability to select this model selector. Very important. If you don't see this, it means that you have an outdated version of n8n. Please go ahead and make sure you update your n8n there. So I'm going to click on the model selector. Now what this is going to do, the model selector basically gives your AI agent the ability to add multiple models for different purposes. And this is the perfect example of how you can use this. So we're going to utilize 4 models because we had 4 different request types that we added to our basic LLM chain, right? So let me move this a little bit here. So I'm going to go inside. Number of inputs is going to be 4. So now if I back out, as you can see, now I have 4 models that I can add. First thing we're going to do, we're going to use our Anthropic to be able to use Claude Sonnet 4 for coding related stuff. So I'm going to click on the plus button. I'm going to go to Anthropic chat and I can select Claude Sonnet 4. You can select Claude Opus 4, but that's a bigger model and a more expensive model, but that's obviously the best model, I think. But Claude Sonnet 4 is perfect for coding. So I'm going to use that. And if you don't have an Anthropic model, Anthropic account, it's very easy. You just go ahead and click on a create new credential and you'll just add an API key. Obviously, you have to have some credit on your API, but you can easily do that. All right. So the next one, we're going to use a Gemini 2.5 Flash for reasoning purposes or other reasoning models like the n8n Mini models as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the plus button. And here I'm going to use actually OpenRouter because I don't have a Gemini account. So instead of the Gemini chat model, I'm just going to use OpenRouter to reach out to Gemini Flash 2.5 Flash, right? So OpenRouter account, same thing. It's very simple. I've done a bunch of videos on this. All you have to do is just go to your OpenRouter account, create an API key and add it here. So from the models, I'm just going to look for Gemini. There you go. Gemini Flash 2.5. That's the one. Yep. This will be our thinking model. And then for my, what was the third category? It was, so the coding, search, and general. So for the general, I'm just going to use a GPT 4.1. So I'm just going to go ahead and open my chat model. GPT 4.1 Mini is fine. Or you can use like GPT 5.1 as well if you want. But GPT 4.1 is cheaper, so I'm just going to use that. Okay. And then for the last one, this is going to be, I'm going to use Perplexity. Same thing. I'm just going to use OpenRouter to reach out to Perplexity. So I'm just going to go here and search for Perplexity. Oops. I think I spelled that wrong. Perplexity. There you go. So I'm going to use Sonar. I'm just going to use Sonar. By the way, for the reasoning model, if you want to use the Perplexity reasoning, totally fine as well. It's up to you. By the way, and I'm using 4 models depending on the request type. You can add up to 10 models here, right? So totally up to you. So let's go ahead and change the names here. Oops. I zoomed in too much. So I'm just going to go ahead and change this to Claude Sonnet 4. Okay. Perfect. This one was our Gemini Flash. So I'm just going to do Gemini Flash. Whoops, not Flash. Flash 2.5. Perfect. And this one was 4.1. Yep. GPT 4.1 Mini. Okay. And then this one was Perplexity. Perplexity. Cool. There you go. So now we have our models all good. Now, another important thing is obviously you want this to have a natural conversation. So add a memory here. I'm going to click on the plus button. I'm going to grab a simple memory. Very important spec. Make sure that you're changing this to define below. And we need to grab from the webhook. What you need to do is you need to grab the session ID right here. So I'm just going to drag it right here. If you don't do this, it's going to throw an error. So make sure you do this. Boom, that's good. And then you can add tools if you want, but I mean, we don't need that for now. Okay, cool. So I think that's done there. Very important step here, because we need to now send this information, right? The output of this to the front end now via our webhook as well. But actually before that, let me go ahead and, let's go ahead and do that. So we need to add the output to respond with the webhook. So I'm just going to search for respond. There you go. Respond to webhook. And I'm just going to do all incoming items. Okay. So now what this is going to do is it's going to grab that information from the front end via the webhook as a trigger, and it's going to respond to the webhook via this respond to webhook. Another very important step on your trigger, make sure you change the respond from immediately to using respond to webhook mode. Okay. And I'm going to unpin this, and let's go ahead and save this. I'm just going to save this. Whatever, that's fine. And now if we execute workflow, so let me actually, okay, let me hide that there. There you go. Okay, so now let's go ahead and test this thing out again. I'm just going to maximize this. There you go. That's fine. Squeeze this a little more so everything is fitting here. Boom. That's good. And there you go. Okay, so now I'm going to click on execute workflow here. So let's just go ahead and say hello to make sure that this is responding. Hello. And there you go. That's sending it. Okay, perfect. Oh, AI agent threw an error. Error subnode model selector. What happened to my model selector? I completely forgot to set the model selector here. So now, very important thing, we need to add the rules to tell the AI agent to select the models, or select models for which particular purpose here, right? Or how to utilize these different request types and when to use these different models. Because right now we just added an AI agent. This is not going to automatically select that, right? So you need to be able to do that first. So let's go ahead and do that. You're going to add a rule. So for model 1, when are you going to use the model 1? So let me go ahead and let me actually go inside the AI agent here. So what we're going to do is actually, let me cut this off first. I'm just going to throw a, whatever. Let me just throw a quick chat model so I can just test this out, execute workflow. So that way this doesn't throw an error. Okay, perfect. That works. So let me go ahead and now get rid of this. There you go. Select this, and perfect. So now we need to identify when to use model 1. And in our case, model 1 is our Claude Sonnet 4. So we're going to utilize this whenever there's a coding, anything related to coding, right? So I'm just going to go ahead to my webhook here. Sorry, not from my webhook. This is going to be from my request type. So if I go to my request type here, there you go. So now we need to we're going to say if request type, right? If the type is going to be, if that value equals, what I meant to do. If this is going to be equal to coding, we're going to use this first model, and then we're going to add another rule for model 2. The model 2 was what? It was for Gemini Flash. And if we go inside our request type, right? If we maximize, we had our coding, right? Coding, reasoning, general, and search. So reasoning, we're going to use our Gemini. So if I go back to my model selector, I'm just going to use same thing. I'm just going to grab this request type. If the output is going to be reasoning, we're going to use the second one. And the third one, model 3, is going to be used for our, so I'm just going to grab this over here. This is going to be used for our general. So if it was general. Okay, and then one more, it's going to be our model 4. And that's going to be for search, right? So I'm just going to drag that again, click on search. All right, perfect. So now we should be good to go here. So now let's go ahead and test this out. So I'm just going to go ahead and execute the workflow again. Let me save this. There you go. Okay, so that's good. Let me go ahead now, make sure we're listening for trigger. Yep, that's good. Let's go ahead and say hello. Okay, that's sending that. All right, perfect. So it's general. All right, so it looks like we're not, I apologize, but I didn't receive any proper response. So let's go ahead and see what's going on. So it looks like this is sending, but this is not receiving. So now let's go ahead and fix the Lovable. So now if I do this, Okay, oops, that's not what I meant to do. Click on that. So now we can chat with Lovable and say that looks like the response from n8n webhook is not being displayed. Okay, there you go. So, I mean, this is what it takes, you know, when you're doing kind of this vibe coding and stuff like that. Like when you run into any error, you just basically type back and just tell them exactly what the issue is, and then hopefully it will fix that. And a lot of times it does. You might have to go back and forth with it, but 9 times out of 10, it will go ahead and fix the issue that you're running into. So let's go ahead and let this finish. I think it says still editing, right? Okay, yeah, that's fine. Get rid of that. Oh, I clicked on that code accidentally. All right. Okay, I think it's good. Edit it. Yep. All right, so let's try this again. Okay. Oh, it looks like it's still thinking. And there you go. It fixed it. All right, execute workflow. Let's try this again. Hello. All right, so now it's going to send that information. All right, perfect. So it looks like, there you go. Hello, how can I assist you? Awesome. So it looks like we fixed it. Now let's go ahead and say something related to coding, and it should be able to grab that. So let me actually maximize this and make this a little closer so you can see exactly what's going on. Boom, boom. Bring this up here, and awesome. There you go. So let's execute workflow. Okay. Now we can get rid of this. All right. So let's go ahead and add, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to click on this, grab a code. Let's go ahead and grab a piece of code here. Copy this, go back, go to this part. I'm just going to type this. I'm just going to say fix this code, right? And I'm just going to deliberately break something here. Let's just break this part. There you go. Chat age instead of chat page. So that's execute and waiting for trigger events. I'm going to click on this, and this should now use Claude Sonnet. Perfect. There you go. As you can see, now it uses Claude Sonnet 4 because it knows that this is a code. So now let's go ahead and ask something related to like current news or something like that, right? So I'm going to execute workflow again. What's the current news on Canada tariffs with US, right? Something like that. I'm gonna press enter. So now it should use Perplexity. There you go. Perfect. It's using Perplexity and it's automatically selecting all of that. There you go. Canada plans to remove all tariffs from US goods, blah, blah, blah. Great. So now let's go ahead and now test to make sure that it's using GPT-4o Mini for general stuff. Click and execute workflow. So I'm going to say, how do I ride a bike for the first time, right? I'm gonna press enter. I don't know if this is general. Hopefully it'll be, oh, there you go. Perfect. It is general. There you go. So it's going to use GPT-4o Mini for John to ride a bike, wear a helmet, blah, blah, blah. Perfect. So now you can see you can utilize this and add multiple model selectors, and you can also test out the Gemini Flash. Now, of course, if you want to, if you're using this for any particular purpose, if you're building some kind of an app, then you can tweak the workflow there to make sure that the user interface is working properly, and you can always change the user interface here as well. So hopefully you found that helpful. Again, check out the community if you want the blueprint here. If you're running kind of issues, obviously with everything, there's always going to be issues. So you can always join our community where we have all of the questions there. Everybody, my team and myself are there to help you out when you run into some kind of an error. We're all there to help you resolve the issues. We also have calls on our calendar that you can jump in and ask us questions directly. And I also have an entire Earn with n8n, Launch Your AI Agency, how to become a consultant with n8n, so that way you can learn these skills and you can apply these to land paying clients. So check out the community. And we also recently launched a voice AI step-by-step voice AI course with Retail AI, including a certification program because we're exclusive partners with them. So check out the community if you like to learn how to make money with AI, how to build complex workflows and AI agents for companies and businesses. I'm going to put the link in the description. Hopefully I'll see you inside. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe because I've got a lot of great content coming up that you don't want to miss. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.